Hey guys, it's Bub here. Windows Millennium Edition has a long and bad reputation for being ridiculously unstable. However, was Windows ME really that bad? Did it deserve all the hate that it currently receives today? And even compared to modern operating systems like Windows Vista and Windows 8, is this operating system really worth all the hate that it gets? In this video, we'll be taking a look at all the reasons why Windows Millennium Edition was so hated even when it was released and today, and seeing was that really worth it, or was it over-exaggerated? Without any further ado, let's get into it. To start off, Windows Millennium Edition wasn't just hated for its stability problems, it was hated for its compatibility. In Windows ME, the MS-DOS mode, which was previously accessible through the shutdown menu, was completely removed. Access to pure DOS was nice to have on Windows 95 and 98 because it allowed you to run DOS applications. However, with Windows ME, DOS was only accessible through a floppy disk if you booted off of it. A lot of older applications depended on this DOS mode. Older programs were incompatible with Windows ME, so basically meaning a ton of software that was previously used can't be used on Windows ME, which was a huge downgrade and something that really set the course of Windows ME's failure. The MS-DOS prompt, which was still included inside of Windows ME, was still nice to have, but it wasn't pure DOS, so it didn't really fulfill the shoes of that MS-DOS mode. But more specifically, let's take a look at this edition of Windows. This was considered a home version of Windows. At this time, Windows ME was meant to be home, and Windows 2000 was meant to be the professional. More like how we look at it today with Windows 10 Home and Windows 10 Pro. Windows 2000 was the Pro, and Windows ME was the home. Features that helped integrate Windows 98 into enterprise systems were removed from Windows Millennium Edition, so it really wasn't good for use in business environments, which also took a huge hit on its user base. A lot of users had mixed-use machines at home, so separating work and home machines didn't really work out. Just imagine if you're at home and you need a work feature to do some work at home. Windows ME didn't have it. That was simple as that. You had to have Windows 2000 for that specific feature. So especially in the world today where a majority of people are working at home, Windows ME would have absolutely failed because it removed all of these key features. Windows ME also was really short-lived. It was released on September 14th, 2000, which was in between two very important operating systems. It was in between Windows 2000, which was released on February 17th, 2000, and Windows XP, which was released on October 25th, 2001. At this point, Windows 98 was only about 2-3 years old, and of course 2000 was released earlier in the year. XP was not available for public use, but it was in production and people knew it. So who wants to buy and use an operating system that's only going to be popular for a year? Many people felt like this was just a waste of money and a waste of buying a new machine, so why would I buy a machine that's going to be out of date in a year or two? But of course, a new version of Windows brings new features, right? On the software side, Windows ME was basically Windows 98 with a tiny amount of new features. Some of these new features, like the new System Restore feature, suffered from bugs that really made them unstable and unusable. One of those new features in this version was Windows Movie Maker, which really isn't that useful. It was nice for messing around, but it doesn't have the key features that are required to make decent videos. At the time, it was a big deal, though. Instead of shipping a new version of Internet Explorer with Windows ME, Microsoft simply shipped Internet Explorer 5.5. Now today that may not seem like a big deal. However, at this time, Windows Internet Explorer and Windows were integrated tightly, as Internet Explorer had a huge presence in the Windows Explorer and other features. So not shipping the latest version of Internet Explorer with the version of Windows was a huge deal breaker. And this was something that really brought down Windows ME's reputation. As small as it may seem, back then, Internet Explorer was a huge deal, as many browsers like Chrome didn't really even exist. Now we get to talk about my favorite part of Windows ME, its stability. Everyone knows about how unstable Windows ME was. However, how unstable really was it? Throughout the operating system, crashes, slowness, and other strange performance issues were present. People's experiences varied, however most users experienced major bugs that really made Windows ME hard to use. Some users even reported that returning to their computers after just a few minutes, moving the mouse simply caused the operating system to crash, which, if you're coming back from a break and you move your mouse and your system crashes and you lose everything, that's obviously not a good thing. These stability problems can most likely be traced back to the aging Windows 9X architecture, because at this time the architecture was old and NT was the future. Windows ME was also a rushed operating system that really wasn't ready for release. Microsoft wanted to put something in between 2000 and XP, and they simply rushed it. They didn't put enough time into it, they didn't test it enough, and this was the product of that. However, speaking of Windows NT, let's hint on that for a minute. Windows NT is the kernel that Windows XP and Windows 2000 were built on. Many users saw Windows NT in Windows 2000 and they thought that this could be the future, which they were right. As I pointed out in the last segment, the aging Windows 9X architecture simply wasn't cutting it anymore. NT was truly the future and most people realized it. Why Microsoft built a version of Windows on the 9X architecture when Windows NT was becoming so mainstream is beyond me. However, that's really their choice and they made a big mistake when they did that. So, in the end, Windows ME was simply rushed and Microsoft didn't put a ton of effort into it. Its dying architecture played a huge role in its stability and every problem that it had. If ME was released a little bit later with a little bit more effort and features put into it, this could have been a nice incremental upgrade for Windows 98 users, like Windows 8.1 was to Windows 8. So with that being said, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, as I do all kinds of different technology videos and device restorations. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.